What if one of the most unforgettable moments in movie history came back to the big screen, but with a twist that nobody ever imagined? Picture the scene that made millions smile, laugh, and fall in love, the playful snap of a jewelry box, the sparkle of a diamond necklace, and Julia Roberts' genuine laughter that turned into cinematic magic. Now imagine that same moment, 30 years later, brought back to life in a sequel that dares to honor the past while surprising the future. This isn't just a nostalgic callback, it's a reimagining that promises to shock fans who thought they had already seen it all. The necklace scene in Pretty Woman wasn't just about diamonds and laughter. It became a symbol of romance, charm, and the kind of love story that stays in people's hearts for decades. And now, Pretty Woman 2 is giving that scene new meaning, creating a wave of excitement and curiosity across the world. To understand why this comeback matters so much, we have to go back to 1990 when the world first met Vivian Ward and Edward. Lewis's Pretty Woman wasn't supposed to be just another romantic comedy. It was the kind of movie that captured lightning in a bottle. At its core, it was a simple story about two very different people from two very different worlds. But what made it legendary was the chemistry between Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, and the little moments of genuine connection that made audiences believe in love, even if only for 2 hours on screen. Among all those moments, one stood out above the rest: the necklace scene. It wasn't part of the original script in the way we know it today. The playful snap of the jewelry box was actually improvised, a surprise by Richard Gere that caught Julia Roberts off guard. Her laughter wasn't just acting, it was real. And that authenticity is why it became one of the most replayed, most talked about, and most beloved moments in movie history. The scene captured the essence of Pretty Woman, a mix of elegance, playfulness, vulnerability, and charm. Showed the joy of two people discovering something deeper beneath the surface of wealth and appearances over the years. That one moment grew into something larger than the film itself. It became a cultural touchstone, the kind of scene that people reference, parody, and celebrate even decades later. Magazines wrote about it, fans quoted it, and filmmakers studied it as an example of how a small detail could transform an entire story. For Julia Roberts, it became one of the defining images of her career, cementing her as America's sweetheart. For Richard Gere, it showcased a softer, more romantic side that audiences hadn't seen in his earlier roles. Together, they created a legacy that audiences never stopped revisiting. But why did this simple scene strike such a chord with viewers? The answer lies in its layers. On the surface, it was about glamour and expensive necklace, a fancy hotel, a handsome businessman giving a gift to a woman who wasn't supposed to belong in his world. But underneath, it was about acceptance and the thrill of being seen as worthy, even when society said otherwise. Vivian wasn't just trying on diamonds. She was stepping into a world that had always seemed out of reach. And Edward was letting her know she belonged there, even if just for that moment. The laughter, the sparkle, the intimacy, it all worked together to create something timeless. 3 decades later, that scene still holds power. Younger generations who weren't even alive when the film came out have discovered it through clips, online, streaming platforms, and countless references in pop culture. The necklace moment has lived on far longer than anyone expected, proving that certain kinds of magic never fade. So when news broke that Pretty Woman 2 would bring back the necklace scene, fans knew it wouldn't be just another nostalgic replay. It had to mean something bigger, and that is why the sequel is stirring such strong emotions. This isn't just a comeback of a scene, it's the comeback of a feeling, a reminder of why people fell in love with Pretty Woman in the first place. The original necklace scene made people laugh and swoon, but the new one promises to do something more. It promises to surprise, to twist expectations, and to make fans see Edward and Vivian in a completely different light. The stage is set, the necklace is back, and the world is waiting to see how a moment of playful magic can be transformed into something unforgettable all over again. Asterisk. The announcement of Pretty Woman 2 immediately set off a wave of nostalgia. But what really electrified audiences was the reveal that the most famous scene of the original film would return. Not as a copy, not as a gimmick, but as a carefully reimagined moment designed for a new era. In the sequel, the necklace isn't just a piece of jewelry. It's a symbol layered with decades of history, memories, and unresolved emotions. What once was a playful gesture between two characters in the early stages of love now becomes a turning point in a story about second chances, forgiveness, and rediscovery. In the new film, the world of Edward and Vivian has changed dramatically. They're no longer the young dreamers stepping into romance for the first time. Life has happened. Choices have been made. Paths have diverged. The sequel acknowledges this growth, showing how time has shaped both characters. Edward is no longer just the charming businessman who learns to love beyond money and power. He is older, wiser, and perhaps more vulnerable than before. Vivian, too, is not the same woman she once was. She has carved her own path, found her voice, and built her independence outside of Edward's shadow. When they meet again, it's not simply a continuation of the fairy tale. It's the collision of two lives that have taken different routes. It's only to circle back at an unexpected moment. The necklace scene becomes the perfect stage for this reunion. Fans were stunned when the trailer revealed the familiar velvet box being opened once more, the diamonds sparkling under the light. But what made it unforgettable was the energy between Roberts and Gere. This time, Julia's Vivian doesn't laugh with surprise in the same way she did years ago. Instead, there's a quiet recognition in her eyes, a knowing smile that tells the audience she remembers every detail of that first moment. It's no longer about catching her off guard, it's about acknowledging the weight of their shared past. That single look says more than pages of dialogue ever could. Visually, the scene is updated with a richer, more dramatic atmosphere. Instead of the playful hotel suite, this comeback happens in a more intimate, elegant setting, perhaps a charity gala or a private dinner, where Edward and Vivian are surrounded by reminders of the lives they've built apart. The necklace is no longer just an accessory. It carries the history of their love story, making its return even more powerful. The audience doesn't just see a man presenting a gift. They see two people confronting years of what-ifs, regrets, and lingering affection. What makes this comeback so unique is that it avoids cheap nostalgia. The filmmakers didn't simply recreate the moment for the sake of familiarity. They infused it with new meaning, respecting the original, while adding layers that resonate with audiences who have grown up since the first film. Viewers who once saw the necklace scene as a symbol of romance now see it as a metaphor for time, maturity, and the enduring strength of connection. It becomes a bridge between generations, the fans who fell in love with Pretty Woman in the 90s, and the younger audiences discovering its magic for the first time. Social media exploded when clips of the sequel's necklace scene began circulating online. Fans described goosebumps, tears, and even shock at how something so simple could feel so profound. One viral post captured the mood perfectly. It's not just the necklace, it's the memories it unlocks. By tying the past to the present, Pretty Woman 2 transforms what could have been a predictable callback into a scene that feels alive, raw, and deeply emotional. The beauty of this comeback lies in its balance. On one hand, it honors the playful charm that made the original moment so beloved. On the other, it gives us something completely new. Two characters facing the reality of time, yet proving that some sparks never fade. For Edward and Vivian, the necklace is no longer just a piece of jewelry, it's a reminder that even after decades, love has the power to surprise, heal, and redefine itself. And for the audience, it's proof that the magic of Pretty Woman was never lost. It was only waiting for the right moment to return. Asterisk. When fans first heard the necklace scene would return in Pretty Woman 2, many assumed it would be a playful nod to the original film, maybe a lighthearted wink at the past. But when the scene unfolded on screen, its audiences realized it wasn't about comedy at all. It was about closure, growth, and an emotional twist that nobody saw coming. Instead of repeating history, the film uses the necklace as a key turning point, changing the tone of the story and reshaping everything we thought we knew about Edward and Vivian. In the original film, the snap of the jewelry box was a spontaneous joke that created a burst of laughter. It symbolized fun, charm, and the innocence of new love. In the sequel, however, the necklace carries a heavier weight. It's no longer just an extravagant gift, becomes a reminder of everything left unsaid between them. When Edward presents, at this time, there's no teasing snap to make Vivian laugh. Instead, there's silence. The quietness of the moment stuns the audience, because it shows that this is not about luxury or playfulness anymore. It's about reconciliation, regret, and the chance to finally speak truths that were buried decades ago. The twist lies in the meaning behind the necklace. Edward reveals that the piece isn't new, it's the same necklace from their past. For years he kept it, not as a possession of wealth, but as a symbol of the love he never truly let go of. This revelation shocks both Vivian and the audience. What once seemed like a small romantic gesture in their younger years is revealed to have been a lifelong memory Edward held on to, a reminder of what he lost and what he hoped to one day find again. Suddenly, the diamonds aren't just shining stones, they're fragments of their shared history. Polished by time but still unbroken, Vivian's reaction deepens the twist even further. She doesn't simply accept the necklace like before. Instead, she hesitates. The hesitation is powerful because it shows how much she has changed. She is no longer the young woman dazzled by riches and fantasy. She is a woman who has built her own identity, her own independence. The moment forces the audience to question, will she take the necklace as a sign of returning to Edward? Or will she walk away, stronger than ever, with her memories intact, but her future firmly in her own hands? That tension transforms what could have been a sweet reunion into a deeply moving emotional crossroads. What shocked fans the most was the vulnerability displayed by Edward. In the original story, he was confident, almost untouchable, a man used to control. A pretty woman too, however. He admits through this necklace scene that he is not invincible. Time has humbled him. He confesses that keeping the necklace all these years was his way of holding on to hope, even when he pretended he had moved on. This emotional honesty is the twist. Edward, once the man with all the answers, is now the one asking for forgiveness and a second chance. Audiences were not expecting the necklace to become a symbol of unfinished love. Social media reactions described it as heartbreaking yet beautiful, and the sequel twist that hit harder than anything else in the film. Viewers who thought they would laugh at a nostalgic callback instead found themselves holding back tears. The scene redefined what the necklace meant. It wasn't about status or charm anymore. It was about time, memory, the fragile hope that love could still survive. After decades of distance, the genius of this twist lies in how it subverts expectations. Nostalgia usually invites repetition, but this film refuses to replay the past in the same way, by turning the necklace into a confession instead of a joke. The sequel gives depth to a moment everyone thought they already understood. It challenges the audience to see the story differently, to accept that love isn't always wrapped in laughter, can also come with pain, with vulnerability, and with the courage to admit mistakes. And yet the twist doesn't strip the magic away, elevates it. Fans realized that the necklace scene wasn't just iconic because of its playfulness. It was iconic because it revealed something real between Edward and Vivian, Pretty Woman. 2 takes that truth and magnifies it, showing that real love is not about grand gestures, but about what we choose to hold on to, even when life tries to pull it away. The necklace, once a playful prop, becomes the story's emotional anchor, leaving fans stunned and forever changed in how they see the characters. Asterisk, the moment the necklace scene comeback was revealed, audiences around the world couldn't stop talking. Social media lit up within minutes of the trailer dropping. Hashtags like #PrettyWoman2, #NecklaceTwist, and #Edward and Vivian began trending across platforms. Fans who had waited 3 decades to see Julia Roberts and Richard Gere back together were overwhelmed with emotions, but what surprised everyone was how deeply the twist affected them. It wasn't just a throwback. It was a reminder of how stories evolve, and how love itself changes with time. For longtime fans, the necklace twist was bittersweet. Many admitted they expected the sequel to be full of lighthearted nods too. The original fun callbacks, nostalgic smiles, maybe even a repeat of the famous jewelry box snap. Instead, They were hit with a wave of vulnerability and honesty that they didn't see coming. One fan wrote online, "I thought I'd laugh like I did in the 90s, but instead I cried." The necklace isn't just jewelry anymore, it's the heart of the story. That raw response shows how the sequel managed to honor its roots while surprising audiences in a way no one predicted. Younger viewers, meanwhile, experienced the scene differently. Many of them had discovered Pretty Woman on streaming platforms or through cultural references. But they weren't emotionally tied to the 1990 film the way older audiences were. For them, the necklace scene comeback wasn't simply about nostalgia, it was about discovering the weight of history between two characters. Some even said the sequel's twist made them go back and watch the original film so they could understand why the jewelry box and diamonds carried so much emotional power. In that way, the new scene created a bridge between generations, connecting fans who grew up with Edward and Vivian to those just meeting them for the first time. Of course, with any twist this powerful, fan theories began pouring in almost immediately. Some believe the necklace isn't just a symbol of Edward's regret, but a clue to a deeper plotline. Did he hold on to it all these years because he always knew they would find their way back to each other? Or does it represent a missed chance? A reminder that their love was never fully realized until now? Others speculated that Vivian's hesitation in accepting the necklace hints at an even bigger decision later in the film. Perhaps one where she must choose between rekindling the romance or walking away for good. The theories only added fuel to the excitement as fans debated endlessly online. One group argued that the necklace is being used as a metaphor for second chances, proof that even after years apart, love can still find a way. Another group took a darker approach, suggesting that the necklace represents what they lost and could never fully regain, no matter how hard they tried. This split in interpretation actually worked in the film's favor, keeping audiences hooked and eager to see where the story would go next. But beyond the theories and discussions, the emotional impact of the scene is what truly defined the sequel. Viewers described feeling a lump in their throat when Edward revealed the necklace's history, and many said they saw parts of their own lives reflected in that moment. People who had lost touch with old loves, or who had regrets about choices they made years ago, found themselves deeply connected to Edward's vulnerability and Vivian's hesitation. In a way, the necklace scene didn't just tell Edward and Vivian's story, it told the story of anyone who has ever wondered what might have been. Critics, too, weighed in on the scene's power. Many praised the filmmakers for resisting the temptation to simply replay the past and instead choosing to elevate it. Reviews highlighted how Julia Roberts and Richard Gere delivered performances that felt seasoned, layered, and true to the passage of time. One critic called it a masterclass in how to reinvent a classic moment without losing its soul. That praise only added to the sense that the necklace twist was more than a scene. It was the emotional core of the entire film. In the end, the comeback of the necklace scene did more than spark nostalgia. It reminded audiences why they fell in love with Pretty Woman in the first place, not because of glitz or glamour, but because of its beating heart. The twist proved that even in 2025, when so many sequels feel hollow or repetitive, there's still room for storytelling that surprises, challenges, and moves people deeply. Fans left the theater buzzing not just about the plot, but about the emotions the scene stirred inside them. As the credits rolled and the discussions continued online, one thing became clear. The necklace scene had once again captured lightning in a bottle. Only this time, instead of playful laughter, it left audiences reflecting on the meaning of love, time, and second chances. And perhaps that is the greatest twist of all. That a single necklace could still make the world believe in the magic of Pretty Woman 3 decades later.